Still, evidence of Henrietta Bingham's extraordinary seductiveness and the bravado that appealed to so many can be found early in her life. Someone photographed her in a meadow, costumed as a 4-year-old geisha, her raven hair crowned with white blossoms, her expression dead serious. In other pictures, turn-of-the-century sepia tones contrast with assertive, even masculine poses, commanding a tricycle, a look of pure determination on her face, astride a pony, decked out as an Indian princess with fringed chaps and a headdress, posing as a rough rider in a cowboy hat, military jacket, and someone else's boots, a cigarette dangling from her mouth. Almost from the beginning, Henrietta showed little interest in expressly feminine activities. In doing so, she invited gazes and questions. Born at the outset of a new century, Henrietta Worth Bingham grew up in bustling Louisville, Kentucky, the leading city in what was widely called the northernmost southern state. Louisville's population was double Richmond's and 4 times Atlanta's, and Louisville literally glowed. For 5 summers in the 1880s, this transportation hub in the nation's midsection hosted the Southern Exposition, featuring the world's largest installation of Thomas Edison's new electric lighting. Cement, agricultural implements, whiskey, and tobacco poured out of Louisville, and Frederick Law Olmsted's firm designed an impressive network of parks and connecting parkways. On her mother's side, Henrietta had deep roots in the River City, so called for its placement on the great interior avenue, the Ohio. An Irish immigrant great-grandfather named Dennis Long amassed a fortune assembling steamboat engines and cast-iron cookstoves in the mid-19th century. Long's heirs adapted the foundries to the municipal water systems being built from Chicago to Birmingham, and the firm became the nation's leading producer of cast-iron pipes. Dennis Long's daughter, Henrietta, married a flour mill manager, Samuel Miller, who eventually headed the Dennis Long and Company. Miller also brought a light heart and a passion for art and literature to the Union, though he gave up his political aspirations. The Longs were Republicans, and he had been a Democrat. Henrietta's mother, the second and most attractive of Samuel and Henrietta Miller's 3 children, grew up in an imposing limestone house with a mansard roof and a tower, arguably the city's most opulent residence, once described as an exclamation in the language of high Victorian Gothic. Henrietta's mother, Babes, had wavy dark hair that she swept up from her forehead into a soft crown. Her mouth played with smiling even when she didn't want it to, and she had a habit of spontaneously breaking into song. However, when Babe's friends were fielding wedding proposals or starting families, darkness fell on the Miller household. For the better part of a decade, her father had been spearheading the drive to build and finance a railroad bridge over the Ohio River. A series of delays and misfortunes plagued the bridge's construction, however, and on a Saturday in December 1893, a freak gust of wind blew a crane off a span and onto a 2-million-pound truss. 41 men were laboring on the truss when it collapsed into the frigid waters. More than half of them perished. It was national news. The Courier-Journal's banner headline read, "Another appalling accident added to the already long list of horrors," for 16 lives had previously been lost during construction. In the wake of the disaster, Samuel Miller fell into a severe depression. His doctors sent him, with his family, to Asheville for a change of air. In the evenings, the Millers gathered, with other guests and well-to-do locals, on the broad porch of the fashionable Battery Park Hotel. Here Bob Bingham, a teacher at a nearby military academy, met pretty Babes Miller before she and the family returned to Louisville. 18 months later, Samuel Miller was still battling acute melancholia and, accompanied by his son Dennis, had gone back to Asheville for further treatment. 25-year-old Babe's journey